everyone, and welcome back to episode 3 of PoliTalks. Today, we're going to tackle some of the remaining challenges Argentina faces under Javier Milei administration. Specifically, we'll break down 4 critical issues: inflation, unemployment, poverty, and housing, along with potential solutions from different economic perspectives. So, Javier Milei has promised sweeping reforms, but Argentina's economic challenges did not disappear overnight. Let's talk about some of them. For years, inflation has been Argentina's weakest point, reaching sky-high levels that destroy savings and purchasing power. Milei has already made strides in reducing inflation, but his goal is to bring it below 1%. That's ambitious. Second, unemployment. Unemployment remains a significant hurdle. While Milei has proposed and passed some labor reforms to boost hiring, Argentina's informal economy adds complexity to the problem. Third, poverty. Poverty affects millions of Argentines, with high national taxes and inefficiencies in social programs making it harder to escape the cycle. Milei plans to eliminate 90% of national taxes. Is designed to change that. However, here's some good news. Poverty in Argentina has shown signs of improvement, decreasing from more than 50% to 35%. While this is a significant step forward, 35% is very high, and more work is needed to ensure that economic growth translates to broader prosperity. Finally, housing. Under Milei's administration, the unregulated housing market has made housing more affordable for many Argentines. The removal of regulations has led to skyrocketed availability of housing, helping to ease the pressure on renters and buyers alike. But is this progress sustainable in the long term? Before we dive into the main problem of Argentina, the inflation, let's talk about an important economic concept, the quantity theory of money. This theory explains inflation by stating that when there is more money in the economy but not enough goods and services to match it, prices go up. Imagine a small market with 10 apples and $10. If the government prints another $10, but there are still 10 apples, the price of each apple doubles. This is exactly what has happened in Argentina. Too much money has been printed over the years without increasing production, leading to skyrocketing prices. Now, let's explore how Milei plans to tackle this issue. To understand inflation, let's look at Argentina's history. Inflation happens when prices rise over time, but in Argentina, this has often been extreme, driven by excessive money printing to cover government spending. For example, imagine your salary buys less bread and milk every month, even though you're earning the same or more amount. That is the daily reality for many Argentines. Milei wants to tackle this and end with inflation. So let's explore 3 possible solutions from different political views. The first, dollarization. This proposal is replacing the peso with the US dollar. This would stabilize the economy and eliminate currency devaluation and prevent future governments from printing more and causing more inflation. But here's the catch: Argentina will lose control over its monetary policy. If the US raises interest rates, Argentina will feel the impact without having a say. They will not be able to control the amount of money printed and the devaluation of the currency. Now, let's go with a Keynesian view, that is making the central bank independent. A Keynesian approach would give Argentina's central bank more independence, meaning it wouldn't be controlled by politicians. This would allow it to focus on keeping prices stable instead of making decisions based on the short-term political goals. The idea is that if the central bank operates without political pressure, it can better manage inflation. However, because Argentina's central bank has been mismanaged for years, people do not trust it. Regaining that trust will take time, so this isn't a quick fix. Finally, reducing government spending. Another option is fiscal austerity, which means cutting government spending to reduce the country's budget deficit. If the government spends less, it won't need to print as much money, which could help to lower inflation. However, this approach has downsides. Cutting spending often means reducing public services, like healthcare, education, or infrastructure projects, which can negatively affect people's daily lives. Despite these challenges, Argentina's recent spending cuts have had major economic impact. In early 2024, Argentina's peso became the world's strongest performing currency, gaining more value than any other. This suggests that reducing government spending helped restore confidence in the Argentinian economy, at least in the short term. Next, let's talk about unemployment. Argentina's labor market faces unique challenges, from informal jobs to outdated regularizations. Here are three potential approaches to solve this. The Milei approach is to deregulate the labor market to make it easier for business to hire and fire employees. For you to understand, before, in Argentina, it was really impossible to fire someone, and if you fired them, they could sue you and you will need to pay a very high amount of money to them. So, by this approach, this could boost unemployment, but critics warn that it may weaken worker protections and increase job insecurity. The government started a plan to deregulate the labor market by, for example, a new way of registration and extending the tryout periods. But they need to continue. Something the governments could do is to modernize the way of hiring people. Secondly, a progressive solutions. This might involve government-funded jobs creation programs, focusing on infrastructure projects and social services. While this would directly reduce unemployment, the downside is its cost. Argentina will need to find the funds for such programs. Finally, investing in vocational training and education could prepare workers for modern industries. This approach addresses structural unemployment but requires time and commitment to show results. However, for this plan to work, modern industries need to arrive to the country. Now, let's talk about poverty. While the reduction from 50 to 35 is a step in the right direction, there is a long way to go. Here are some solutions that could address this challenge. The first is the Milei plan. Milei plans to cut 90% of national taxes, aims to increase disposable income and stimulate economic activity. However, reduced tax revenue might lead to cuts in essential public services, like healthcare and education. Then we have a progressive view. A progressive idea is implementing a universal basic income. This will provide every citizen with a regular financial safety net. While it could significantly reduce poverty, it is very expensive. Finally, we have a conservative approach. This would focus on reforming existing welfare programs to target the most vulnerable populations more effectively. While this could make it more efficient, it risks of leaving some group of people with no help. Housing reform is one of the biggest successes under Milei's government so far. Let me break it down a bit for you. Before Milei reforms, housing in Argentina was in crisis. Rental prices were climbing faster than wages and supply was falling short for demand. Many families struggled to afford basic housing, leading to an overcrowding and an increase of the black market of housing, where families could find their homes at a higher price. Under Milei's deregulated housing market, we've seen significant improvements. By cutting restrictions and reducing bureaucratic hurdles, housing availability has skyrocketed. Increased supply and market competition have driven rental prices down, making housing more affordable for many Argentines, leading to a decrease of the black market of housing. Something that helps a lot to solve this problem is that the government is not the mediator and the one who puts the condition of the rents. Now, both parties need to reach an agreement. While the unregulated market has delivered quick wins, there are concerns about the long-term sustainability. Will the housing boom continue, or could it lead to the market imbalance? And how we assure affordable housing for the most vulnerable? As we've seen, these challenges, like housing, poverty, inflation, and unemployment are deeply interconnected. For example, improving housing affordability can reduce poverty, while lowering unemployment throughout job creation programs or labor reforms can help stabilize the economy and reduce inflation pressures. So, what is most likely under Milei's administration? As we have seen in the first year, his objective is to reduce deficits in order to achieve superavits and maintain it, deregulate the labor market, and an aggressive tax cut. Also, reduce any type of unnecessary government spending and privatize most of the public companies. These policies could create business-friendly environments and attract investment, but there are some potential problems like the reducing equality of public services or the increasing inequality. So that's all for today's episode, where we explore Argentina's inflation, unemployment, housing, and poverty challenges, and a range of possible solutions. Thank you very much. See you next time.